in the bustling heart of Lagos, Nigeria, where the humid air carried the scent of street-side akara frying in hot oil and the relentless honk of Danfo buses echoed through the streets, stood the gleaming tower of Apex Continental Bank. It was a monument to wealth, rising like an obelisk amid the chaos of Victoria Island's financial district. At its helm was Adewale Ogunleye, a self-made billionaire whose fortune had been forged in the fires of oil deals, real estate flips, and savvy investments across West Africa. At 42, Adewale was a man of quiet power, tall, broad-shouldered, with skin the color of rich ebony and eyes that missed nothing. But beneath his tailored Agbada robes and the fleet of black SUVs that ferried him around, he harbored a secret ache, loneliness. His first marriage had crumbled under the weight of his ambition, leaving him childless and wary of gold diggers who flocked to his wealth like moths to a flame. True love, he'd often mused to his trusted aide, Chinedu, is like finding a diamond in the muddy Niger Delta, rare and buried deep. Yet, it wasn't romance that first drove Adewale to the edge of deception. It started with a whisper of trouble in his empire. Apex Bank, his newest venture, had opened its doors just 6 months prior, a state-of-the-art facility boasting marble floors, biometric vaults, and a staff of 200 hand-picked professionals. But lately, the numbers didn't add up. Subtle discrepancies in the ledgers, small at first, like Naira vanishing into thin air. $1 million here, 2 there, masked as operational expenses. Adewale's auditors flagged it during a routine review, but the trail went cold. Was it embezzlement, cyber theft, or something more sinister, like an inside job tied to the shadowy syndicates that plagued Nigeria's banking sector? The police were useless without proof. Corruption ran deep in those circles. "We need eyes on the ground," Adewale told Chinedu in his penthouse office one rainy evening, the city lights blurring through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Someone invisible. That's when the idea struck him like a bolt from Sango, the Yoruba god of thunder. He'd go undercover himself. As a cleaner. Who notices the janitor mopping floors, emptying bins, lingering in corners? It was risky. His face was known from Forbes Africa covers and society galas, but with a fake beard, shabby overalls, and a humble demeanor, he could blend in. And perhaps, in the process, he'd see his employees' true colors. Maybe even spot a genuine soul amid the corporate grind, someone who valued character over cash. 2 birds, 1 stone, he chuckled, though his heart raced at the thought. Chinedu protested vehemently, "Oga, this na madness. What if dem catch you?" But Adewale was resolute. He arranged a false identity, Jide Okoro, a down-on-his-luck migrant from the villages of Ogun State, hired through a temp agency. On his first day, Adewale, now Jide, arrived at dawn, bucket and mop in hand. The bank was still asleep, save for the security guards who nodded curtly as he flashed his forged ID. The lobby smelled of fresh polish and ambition. He started in the executive suites, his ears tuned to every murmur. By mid-morning, the place buzzed with life. Tellers in crisp blue uniforms chatting in pidgin, managers barking orders, customers queuing for loans or withdrawals. Jide kept his head down, but his eyes wandered. There was Nkechi, the sharp-witted HR manager with a laugh like tinkling bells, organizing team-building events. Emeka, the IT specialist, always glued to his screen, muttering about firewalls. And then Fatima, the young accountant from the north, her hijab neatly pinned, eyes downcast but fierce when debating figures. The mystery hooked him deeper that afternoon. While cleaning the break room, Jide overheard a hushed conversation between 2 tellers. "Ihen, that transfer to the offshore account. You sure no go raise alarm?" one whispered, a woman named Bose with beaded braids. Her companion, a stocky man called Tund, shushed her. "Keep voice down, ABI. The boss no day here. Just follow the plan." Jide's pulse quickened. Offshore. That matched the auditor's red flags. He pretended to scrub a stubborn stain, straining to catch more, but they clammed up when Kechi entered, flashing a warm smile. "Jide, right? Welcome to the family. If you need anything, holla." Her kindness disarmed him. In his real life, people fawned over him for favors. Here, she saw just a cleaner. As days blurred into a week, suspicion gnawed at Adewale. He noticed patterns, late-night logins on the servers, unexplained absences, and a faint tension in the air, like the calm before a harmattan storm. One evening, while emptying bins in the vault area, off-limits to most, he found a shredded memo in the trash. Piecing it together under his flashlight, he read fragments. Divert funds. Cayman Islands. Meet at Eco Hotel. Hidden clues, buried like yams in fertile soil. But who was behind it? Bose and Tunn seemed involved, but they were low-level. Was there a mastermind higher up? Emeka, with his tech access? Or worse, someone in senior management? The emotional toll hit harder than expected. Posing as Jide meant enduring the indignities of invisibility, snide remarks from arrogant executives, being ignored in meetings he secretly owned. It reminded him of his humble beginnings in a Lagos slum, hawking pure water sachets to survive. "Na so life be," he thought, echoing his late mother's words. But it also stirred something deeper, a yearning for authenticity. Fatima, in particular, caught his eye. She treated him with respect, sharing jollof rice from her lunch and asking about his family back home. "You work hard, Jide," she'd say in her soft Hausa-inflected English. "Allah go bless you." Was it pity? Or the spark of true connection he'd sought? Yet, the mystery loomed larger. That night, back in his disguised apartment, a cramped flat in Surulere to maintain cover, Adewale pored over the shredded memo. It hinted at a bigger scheme, perhaps tied to money laundering for politicians. If exposed, it could topple his bank. He needed more clues, but suspicion bred paranoia. Who could he trust? As rain pelted the tin roof, he whispered a Yoruba prayer, "Olajamare, guide my steps." Little did he know, the web of deceit ran deeper, entangling hearts and fortunes in ways that would soon shatter his world. The rain had stopped sometime during the night, leaving the city slick and shining under the weak dawn light. Ilara stood at the edge of the rooftop, the stolen data crystal still warm in her pocket like a living thing. Below, the streets were already stirring, delivery drones humming low, early shift workers shuffling toward the maglev stations, neon signs flickering off one by one. She hadn't slept. Couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Kai's face in the moment before the explosion. Surprised, almost amused, as if he'd known all along she would pull the trigger. The betrayal had been clean. Necessary. That's what she told herself. A soft chime from her wrist comm broke the silence. Unknown sender. Encrypted. She hesitated, then opened it. A single line of text appeared. "You only took half the truth." Below it, coordinates. An abandoned warehouse district on the South Docks. Time, sunset. Ilara's pulse quickened. The crystal in her pocket suddenly felt heavier. She'd cracked it open hours ago, downloaded everything. Financial ledgers, black site locations, names of officials on Helix Corp's payroll. Enough to burn the whole regime down. But half the truth. She looked out over the city again. Somewhere down there, Helix was already hunting her. Drones would be scanning facial grids. Kill teams mobilizing. And yet, someone else was reaching out. Someone who knew what she'd taken, and what she'd missed. Ilara pulled her hood up, checked the charge on her sidearm, and started down the fire escape. Sunset was 12 hours away. She had time to decide whether to run, or to go deeper. The South Dock smelled of rust, salt, and forgotten fuel. Ilara moved between the skeletal remains of cargo cranes and gutted warehouses, her boots crunching on broken glass. The sun bled orange across the water as it dipped behind the skyline, turning the whole district into a maze of long shadows. She reached the coordinates, Warehouse 17B. The rolling door was ajar just enough for a person to slip through. Inside, the air was thick with dust. Shafts of dying light cut through holes in the corrugated roof, illuminating rows of abandoned shipping containers like silent tombstones. She wasn't alone. A figure stood in the center of the open space, back turned, hands clasped behind them. Tall. Familiar silhouette. Ilara's hand went to her sidearm. "Don't," the figure said without turning. The voice was calm, modulated, synthetic undertones threading through it. "If I wanted you dead, you'd already be bleeding out in an alley." She froze. That voice. She knew that voice. The figure turned. Unburned. Unscarred. Smiling that same half-amused smile she'd seen right before she detonated the charge that was supposed to erase him. "You're dead," she whispered. "Am I?" He tilted his head. Or did you just kill a very convincing copy? He stepped forward. No limp. No pain in his eyes. Just curiosity. The body you left behind was a bioshell, he continued. Printed muscle, synthetic blood, remote neural link. Expensive, but Helix has deeper pockets than you think. I felt everything, by the way. The heat. The pressure wave. Quite the rush. Ilara's grip tightened on her weapon. Why show yourself now? Because you only took half the truth, Kai said, echoing the message. He pulled a small hollow projector from his coat and flicked it on. A three-dimensional schematic bloomed in the air between them. The data crystal she'd stolen split into two interlocking halves. One half glowed blue, the files she'd downloaded. The other half pulsed red. Empty. You got the bait, Kai said. The ledger. The names. The locations. All real. All damning. But it's incomplete without the key, the encryption layer that ties it to the real source. He stepped closer. The red half proves the data wasn't fabricated. Without it, everything you have is just conspiracy noise. Helix will laugh it off. Call it deepfake propaganda. You'll burn your bridges leaking it, and nothing will change. Ilara's mind raced. So give it to me. Kai chuckled. It's not that simple. The key isn't a file. It's a sequence embedded in a living host. He tapped his temple. Me. She stared at him. You're saying the only way to expose Helix is to trust you? No, he said softly. I'm saying the only way is to take what's in my head. By force, if necessary. Upload it. Merge it with what you already have. Then broadcast the complete package before they shut it down. He spread his arms, defenseless. You'll move, Ilara. The warehouse fell silent except for the distant cry of gulls and the low hum of approaching drones, Helix closing in. She raised her weapon. But this time, she wasn't sure what she was aiming at. Ilara's finger hovered on the trigger. The pistol didn't waver, but everything else inside her did. Kai stood motionless, arms still spread, waiting. The hum of the Helix drones grew louder, close enough now that their searchlights began slicing through the warehouse's broken windows, painting white bars across the concrete floor. Clock's ticking, he said quietly. They'll breach in under 2 minutes. She searched his face for the lie. For the tell she'd always spotted before. The micro-twitch at the corner of his mouth when he was bluffing. The way his left eye narrowed a fraction when he felt cornered. Nothing. Just that same infuriating calm. Why? She asked, voice raw. If you're really on Helix's leash, why give me the key at all? Why not let me leak the half-truth and watch me fail? Kai's smile faded. For the first time, something real flickered across his eyes. Regret, maybe. Or exhaustion. Because I'm tired of being their perfect ghost, he said. I've worn a dozen bodies. Died in 6 of them. Every time they print a new one, they keep a little more of me. Edit out the parts that ask questions. One day there'll be nothing left but obedience. He took one careful step closer. The sequence in my head isn't just an encryption key. It's a kill switch. For me. For every shell they've ever made of me. Merge it with your data, broadcast it wide enough, and Helix loses their favorite phantom forever. They'll burn the program to the ground rather than risk another copy waking up. The first drone crashed through a skylight overhead, glass raining down like sharp confetti. Red targeting lasers danced across both of them. Ilara made her choice. She lowered the pistol. Not like this, she said. I'm not extracting it by force. You're coming with me. Kai blinked, genuinely surprised for the first time. You'd trust me? No, she said, holstering the weapon and pulling a neural cable from her jacket. But I'm betting you want out more than they want you back. She tossed him one end of the cable. Link up. Voluntary transfer. We merge the halves right here, upload to every dark node I've got queued. Then we run. Together. He caught the cable. Hesitated only a second. The drones locked on. Kai jacked the cable into the port behind his ear. Ready when you are. Ilara plugged in. White fire exploded behind her eyes as the red half flooded in, layers of hidden code, timestamps, biometric locks, and beneath it all, fragments of Kai's real memories. His childhood. His recruitment. The day he realized he wasn't the original anymore. And the kill switch, pulsing like a dying star. Upload, 17%. 34%. 61%. Boots hit the ground outside. Heavy armor. Helix kill team. Ilara opened her eyes. Kai was staring at her, unblinking. "It's done," he whispered. The warehouse lights flickered as the full package blasted out across the net, uncensored, unbreakable, viral. Alarms screamed across the city grid. Together, they sprinted for the side exit, gunfire chewing up the concrete behind them. For the first time in years, Kai was running towards something instead of away. And Ilara wasn't sure if she'd just saved the city, or doomed them both. They burst out the side door into the narrow alley between warehouses, the night air sharp with salt and cordite. Gunfire stitched the wall behind them as the Helix kill team poured in. Ilara grabbed Kai's wrist and yanked him left, toward the water. Pier 9, submersibles prepped. If we make the tide, we're ghosts. He matched her stride without question, boots pounding wet concrete. For someone who'd spent years as a remote-operated puppet, he moved like he'd been born running. A drone dipped low overhead, spotlight pinning them. Kai didn't break stride, he raised his hand, palm out. The drone stuttered mid-air, lights flickering, then veered sharply into a stack of containers with a metallic screech. "You still have back doors," Ilara gasped. "Some," he said. "Not for long. Once the kill switch propagates, every linked system will purge me. Including the ones I just used." They rounded the corner onto Pier 9. The submersible, a sleek black teardrop barely bigger than a ground car, bobbed against the pylons, hatch open, engine already humming on standby idle. Ilara dove in first, Kai right behind. She slammed the hatch and dropped into the pilot cradle. "Strap in." The vessel lurched free of its moorings as she punched the dive sequence. Bullets pinged off the reinforced hull like angry hail. 30 meters down, the water went dark and quiet. Ilara leveled them out and set a course south, out of Helix territorial waters, toward neutral shipping lanes. Only then did she let herself breathe. Kai sat across from her in the dim blue glow of the instrument panel, staring at his hands like they might vanish any second. "It's spreading," he said softly, eyes on the uplink feed projected on the glass. Dark nodes, mirror sites, even corporate nets. They can't choke it all. In a few hours the full package will be everywhere. He looked up at her. "I felt it leave me. The sequence. Like something crawling out of my skull. I'm lighter." Ilara studied him. No more synthetic undertones in his voice. No subtle lag in his movements. Just a man, tired, scarred, real. "What happens to you now?" she asked. Kai gave a small, crooked smile. "For the first time in years, I get to decide that." He leaned back, closing his eyes. "Helix will burn the program. No more shells. No more copies. This body's the last one. When it dies, I stay dead." A long silence stretched between them, broken only by the low thrum of the engines. Ilara reached across the narrow cabin and rested her hand on his arm. "Then let's make sure it's a long damn life." Outside the viewport, the black water rushed by, carrying them away from the city lights that were, even now, beginning to flicker and fail as the truth tore through the grid like wildfire. For the first time in a long time, neither of them was running away. They were running toward whatever came next. Together. Epilogue. 6 months later. The safe house was a weathered cabin on the northern coast of what used to be called British Columbia. Far enough from any major grid that the stars still looked like scattered diamonds instead of corporate billboards. Ilara stood on the porch, coffee steaming in her hands, watching the sun rise over the strait. The world hadn't ended. It had just cracked open. Helix Corp stock had plummeted within hours of the broadcast. Board members vanished into private jets or private prisons. Entire divisions were dissolved overnight. The leaked data, complete, verified, undeniable, sparked investigations on 3 continents. Some governments fell. Others pretended to clean house. But the streets were quieter now. Fewer drones in the sky. Fewer disappearances. She heard footsteps behind her and didn't turn. "You're up early," Kai said, voice still rough with sleep. He slipped his arms around her waist from behind, chin resting on her shoulder. Old habits, she murmured. Couldn't sleep. He was warmer than he used to be. Real blood, real heartbeat. The last body, as he'd promised. No more ports behind his ear. No more remote overrides. Just scars and stubble and the occasional nightmare that sent him bolt upright at 3 a.m. They'd spent the first month waiting for the kill team that never came. Helix had bigger fires to put out. After that, they drifted north. New names, cash only, no net presence deeper than a burner-com. Kai reached into his pocket and pulled out a small hollow cube. He activated it between them. A news feed flickered to life. Grainy footage of protests in the old Capitol, people holding printed stills of the leaked ledgers. A senator in cuffs. A headline scrolling across the bottom. Helix Phantom program officially terminated. No remaining assets. He let it play for a few seconds, then shut it off. Think it's really over? Ilara asked. For them? Yes. He turned her gently to face him. For us? That's up to us. She studied his eyes. Brown, human, alive with something that looked a lot like hope. No more running, she said. No more running, he agreed. Kai leaned in and kissed her, slow and certain, the way people do when they've finally got time on their side. Behind them, the cabin door creaked open. A small, scruffy dog, one they'd picked up somewhere outside Prince Rupert, trotted out, tail wagging, demanding breakfast. Ilara laughed against Kai's mouth. Guess we've got responsibilities now. He grinned. The horror. They went inside together, the dog bounding ahead, the ocean wind carrying away the last echoes of sirens that would never come for them again. Somewhere far south, servers cooled and files were deleted forever. Up here, two people who'd once only known how to survive started learning how to live.